So I guess in the times when most of us are stuck at home and we're watching YouTubers should produce more videos. But I woke up today and I was thinking like, how much people care about my videos about recycling? I was supposed to post the recycling video today. I don't think anyone cares about zero waste or environment at this point. And the only solution I could come up to is to talk about coronavirus and environment in the same video. So let's go. So in this video, I want to share with you 3 facts how coronavirus actually impacted the environment in a good way and also at the same time in a bad way. The fact number 1, before the coronavirus outbreak, China was one of the biggest polluters, if not the biggest, in terms of CO2 emissions. But when the outbreak happened, people in cities were quarantined, people were staying at home, they were not allowed to go on the streets, and obviously most of the businesses, most of the factories, most of everything was actually stopped. So during this time, the emissions were so low, you could even visually see them from the space. The stats even say that the emissions dropped by 25%. That's a lot. For this part, this is a great news because we actually can see the impact. We can see how the shutting down of production of one of the biggest polluters can actually have good results on the environment. But as much as it's a good news that during these times there was a little bit less emission, it's a temporary good news. So as soon as everything goes back to normal, all the factories and production companies and businesses will go back online, back to work, and we'll see the spike in the emissions back. Unfortunately. Another bad news that is probably not obvious for most of us, but it is, that China is actually really important in terms of production of clean energy technology. Solar panels, wind turbines, they are actually produced in China. So while the emissions went down, which is good for the climate change and the global warming, the same it's bad because those countries who were buying solar panels and wind turbines from China, they can't buy them at the moment. So it actually slows down the growth of clean energy around the world. So this is how one thing can be bad news and the good news at the same time. Let's move from China back to US. In America, in lots of states, in lots of cities, people are allowed to work from home and schools are closed, so kids stay at home. And the mass gatherings are not allowed, so people are supposed to follow the social distances and stay mostly at home, which is good in a certain way. So if people don't go to the office, they commute less. In America, the emissions from commuting, from people driving, those emissions are really big. So basically, if coronavirus helped us also decline our emissions from driving. At the same time, it's a bad news as well, because it doesn't mean that people are not driving at all. People still drive somewhere, probably to go to supermarkets, to those groceries. And also in terms of public transport, which is not very big in the US, but in those cities where it's present, let's say in San Francisco, we have BART. So basically, if people don't commute to the office, that means those BART trains just go empty. The same comes to planes. People flying a lot for business in the US, so now those flights that are not cancelled yet, they're empty. The airport of San Francisco is, for example, empty, but it's still running. So basically, it's a ghost airport and a ghost flights. So as good as it is to have less emissions from people driving and commuting to work in their cars, at the same time, we still have some things running and not being used by people, which is not really good. Obviously, when we stay at home, it's a good thing because we can spend time with the family, maybe spend some time doing things that we postponed for a while. But at the same time, when we stay at home, instead of going to the office, we use energy, we use lights, heater, we watch TV and stuff like that. So we actually consume more stuff. Also, if people are afraid to go to supermarkets or to go outside because they don't want to get coronavirus, they start shopping online. And as we all know, online shopping has 2 disadvantages. One is when you shop online, you actually buy more than if you would go to the supermarket and buy physically. So online shopping makes you buy more, especially if people get anxious and they feel like buying things to help their anxiousness. And the second thing, when you buy online, especially if you buy in several stores, things are delivered to you in individual packaging, so it's actually increase on the plastic wrappers, bubble mailers, boxes, and so on, instead of you going to one supermarket and just putting everything in your grocery bag. So emissions go down, but other things go up. And I'm not even talking here about food waste, because I'm sure that all those people who buy so much food because they feel like in a panic mode, I just hope they will eat this food and this food will not go to waste. US is one of the countries that has very high amounts of food waste, the food that's just thrown to the garbage, to the landfill, and I hope this coronavirus situation is not gonna make the situation even worse. And the third fact that made coronavirus good and bad at the same time for the environment. So since the coronavirus became like a pandemic, so lots of countries having this problem right now, so people obviously traveling less or don't travel at all. Traveling is considered one of the worst things in terms of CO2 emissions, in terms of negative impact to climate change. So by flying less, we have less emissions, which is super good for the climate change. But at the same time, there are two problems. The problem number one, if the planes still fly but they go empty, so basically those ghost flights just use energy, they just create emissions for no reasons. Some countries are now prohibiting ghost flights, so if the plane is empty or not like full by a certain percent, those planes can't fly. But there are still ghost planes and the ghost airports. And the second thing why it's bad, think of the business of the airline. If the airlines have to cancel flights, if they have to cancel flights for weeks or even months, that means they lose money. If the airline loses money, that means they're going to be really bootstrapping, or even some companies will go out of business. So that means if they had any initiatives to go greener, to invest into like better planes that have less emissions, those investments, those initiatives will definitely be put away just because the companies have to survive. You're probably asking yourself why I'm even sharing these facts for you and how these facts help you survive through the coronavirus outbreaks. The reason I used these examples from coronavirus and impact on the environment, I want to show you how one thing can be good and at the same time it can be bad for the environment. And if you forget about coronavirus and think of other like parts of our life, as I already said in some of my videos, I believe in terms of eco-friendliness, eco-consciousness, sustainability, there is no like black and white. There is no solution that is like absolutely good and doesn't have disadvantage. And at the same time, some things that seem like evil, they might be evil from one perspective, but they can be good from the other perspective. And I really want you to develop this kind of thinking that there is nothing good or bad, and you always have to try to see both sides, look for information that shows you different angles, good and bad sides, and try to make decisions based on variety of information, not just looking into one direction and thinking like, oh, this thing is evil, bad, or this thing is good, so I go for it. So always try to see different angles, different opinions, different impacts, and make a decision based on all those factors. And stay positive during the coronavirus. I'm gonna make a few other videos. I have at least 2 videos in mind. One video is about how to still keep some zero waste habits while trying to survive this coronavirus outbreak. And another video is about ideas what you can do during the social distances in the times where we are stuck at home, we can't travel, we can't go anywhere, we can go to some, mass events. Even the bar is going to be closed soon, so what do you actually do? So I will share those tips with you. And as I said, stay positive and see you soon. I post these videos twice a week, and if you want to support bloggers like me who are a little bit lost in the situation, because I don't even know if people care about my videos or they care about other things. So if you want to support bloggers like me, not just me, just go there, leave your comment, leave your thumb, just write something, write something to these bloggers, maybe give those bloggers ideas what you want to listen to. Let's say if you want to be a little bit distracted from coronavirus news and you would just want to hear about something else, give other bloggers ideas what they can post during these times when people are a little bit in a hectic and not hectic, anxious situations. Maybe you can give ideas and let bloggers create some positive vibes too, so which will help people to survive through coronavirus. See you soon. Maka, it's coronavirus. We're not supposed to give kisses to each other. Did you wash your face with soap for 20 seconds? You did not. Go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. You see?